Good evening, everybody. Oh, I'm surprised to see this many people in here when you should be handing out candy to little kids. Yeah, I've seen a bunch of times where the adults get more enthusiastic about dressing up on Halloween than the kids do. So anyways, already fed the monsters. All right. Yeah. Okay, as we can see, there's nothing going on in these markets. Same old is what we've been doing for the last few months. The only exciting things that we can find going on is all the political intrigues from day to day. The NASDAQ still moving sideways. The transportation index has the inclination, or at least the prospect, that if they break out through this little downtrending channel, there could be some buying going on, which again would mean there's not a whole lot of selling going on in this market. May not be a whole lot of buying, but if the transportation index is moving up, at least it kind of implies that this market's not falling out of bed. Okay. Oh, let's take a look at things that we're trading on the futures market. Again, this is, we've been long hogs with the anticipation that they're going to be moving up to the 50-day moving average. So here's kind of safe trade setups. One of two things can happen here. Either we're in a bobble, which means you can buy this if it comes back up through today's open. This is a live cattle, December live cattle. So if we know what a bobble is, we know that if it came back up through the open, we want to be buying. On the other hand, if they open lower, that pretty much tells us they're probably coming back down to test another level. We're seeing the sell-off in crude oil, which we had a big down day today, down about $2. After hours, it's bouncing up a little bit. The after hours chart on crude oil has been kind of a big fry pan bottom. So it's kind of what see the fry pan bottom. I'll look at the little Morningstar signal. So watching to see if this is heading into wave 3 on the intraday trading. Let's see, that's the 10-minute chart. And gold not really doing a whole heck of a lot, but the gold stocks, which we'll get to, are picking up a little bit. I would just kind of be worried about gold or concerned about gold since it's not a real strong uptrend, but we're seeing things like Nugget starting to pick up some steam here. So I don't know what that means. And let's see what else. No. So here are the kind of the entry strategies. You can see that they've just opened up after hours trading, but you can see what's happening here on wheat. See this little downtrend. If they start trading positive from here, you know this trend's been breached with a Morningstar signal and a bullish Harami. That's probably a good buy to set a buy stop right up in this area, just above this level. But if it starts moving in that direction, wave 3 is in progress. Same scenario. So the reason I'm pointing this out is there's a lot of times where you're much better off setting a stop at a place that if it came back through that specific level, notice we had a bearish engulfing signal on the dollar. So where would be a good place to put a stop? Right here. If it came back down through this level after a bearish engulfing signal, closing right at the T-line and then starting to trade lower again, probably if it came back down through here, it'd be at least you know the momentum and the confirmation of that bearish engulfing signal is in progress. So essentially knowing what should happen after a candlestick signal, especially wherever your stochastics are, puts you in situations where you can at least extrapolate that if this came down through that level, you should be short the dollar. All right, so knowing what should happen after a signal, that's why we recommended SRCL today. A kicker signal on Friday. Lots of profit taking right back down to the 50. So what do we know about the profit taking after a strong signal? Well, if they open it back up positive, it tells you the profit taking is over. I'd still be a buyer of this one on positive trading tomorrow. Same as GIMO, another one that had a kicker signal on Friday. Notice what it did today. Oops, I don't have the 3T line here for some reason. So while we're here, we will just add this right there. All that add. Okay, there's our 3T line. Let's modify it just slightly. Make it a faint. All right, notice where it came back down to, right back down to the 3T line. Which tells us that after the kicker signal, which is a strong buy signal, obviously, the next day they consolidate it, but they don't really sell it off. If it opens positive, we've got a doji sandwich after a kicker signal. This kicker signal already implies we should be in an uptrend. A positive open after a doji implies we should be in an uptrend. So if it opens positive tomorrow, you definitely want to be buying, because if this candle right here is equivalent to this candle right here, pretty much tells us this level right here is not going to act as resistance anymore. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Oh, so knowing what should happen after a signal, basically that we should have a good strong uptrend, also tells us that if we have something, we have a good strong signal, but can see where the a weakness, but where the resistance is occurring. Notice what happened right here. Shooting star type signal. Even though we gapped up, we haven't been able to get through this level with a shooting star and a sell. So if this one opened lower tomorrow, what'd that tell us about this level? They couldn't get through. If you bought on this day or on this day, you close out the position. Once again, it's much better to take a, whatever this would be, $1.40 loss than sit for a $4 loss. The faster you can get out of a bad trade, the faster you can get back into a good trade. Vetco looked pretty good, but today it needed open positive and trade positive and break out, which it didn't do. So if you've been long, today would have been a good day to say, all right, they couldn't get through this level, close out the position, take a small loss, and move on to something else. And FTI. Whoops. Oh, pshaw. Another one that had a J-hook pattern setup, but then notice what happened over here. We started getting back below the halfway point of the candle that told us the bulls were in control. Told you it was time to get out and just wait for the next strong buy signal, which hasn't occurred yet. So just because a signal or a pattern is setting up and it doesn't confirm, be ready to close it right back out, because the whole point of candlesticks is that we're trying to go on the probabilities of what patterns that human nature does time after time. And if it doesn't do it, close it out and move on to another one. All right, so right now in this market, we've got so many things that would just be so hard to trade that a lot of them, once it doesn't confirm, you just have to watch to see whether that chart is acting well or not. The only things that seem to be acting well is the biotechs on the short side. We're just staying short some of these with one very simple prospect or analytical factor is we're going to stay short until we see a buy signal and a close back up above the T line. That's SRPT, SPWR, same scenario. And the reason we want to use what we call our convergence analysis is notice where the Morningstar signal occurred. Once again, the more elements that we can put into our analysis, it failed right here at the 50 with a bearish Harami shooting star, evening star signal closing below the T line, number one. Number two, look where it failed, right in the same place that had a shooting star doji type day over here. So that pretty much told us they weren't heading up, they were still heading down. And where was the next likely target? Back down here. We'll get over the old area. So what do we want to watch for right here? See if they start showing some buy signals. If so, you close out the short position. Whoops, looking in the wrong place here. EXEL. Slow downtrend. And what started this? The bigger the signal, the more compelling the reversal signal. Let's see, I better do a sound check. Can everybody hear me all right? Okay, good. I want to make sure that I wasn't in here all by myself. That'd be so spooky. All right. And IONS also seems to be working well ever since it broke down. And I think this one also had the additional, no, I thought maybe it was a strong downtrend. But right now, with the biotech selling off, obviously the LabD still is moving higher. Or if you're short Labu continues to move lower. So again, there is a sector right now where you can kind of would be a little bit overloaded on the short side, which is the biotech. The other area that's starting to show some strength for some reason is the gold area. There's our nugget, kind of your stutter step. Notice your Morningstar signal. You're right here at this resistance level. If it opens positive tomorrow, it's a good indication that the buyers are starting to step in. And we're starting to see that in some of the gold stocks. This is a nice looking chart. ABX, slow curve, just broke through the 50. breaking through this downtrending channel. This one I wouldn't be afraid to be buying on positive trading tomorrow. And this Nucor, same scenario. It broke this downtrending channel. You can start looking to buy this one. Hecla Mining, opposite. It's supporting on the 50, just about ready to break out through this level. So we got the biotechs that look good as far as staying short. You got the gold stocks that appear to be starting to head back up. Now, the reason I say gold stocks is that if you can see a whole sector starting to pick up steam, that means they're starting to buy it across the board. It's not like just one stock all of a sudden is popping up. What is the light blue? The light blue, this is the 20, and put the 3T line on here. The line still stays fat. Oh man, that's what happened. Wonder why it's fat. There we go. CENX. All right, so here's the question. Which way is this stock going right now? Sylvain, I'd go after whatever you're comfortable with. Usually, if I see a individual stock that has a very strong chart, I'll go with that. If not, I'll leverage myself with the nugget because it's free leverage. So it's up to each individual. And I would look at the charts. I mean, I'll look at some gold once it goes over here. But all right. So what's this chart telling us? Which way is this chart? Which way is this one going? Anybody? Sideways, yep. If you could look at this and say, man, I don't know which way this is going. This is the whole point of us looking at as many charts as we do. There are going to be charts that look good. See if I can do this. But fail. Move on to something else. If you can't analyze what a chart is telling you, this is, again, the whole point of knowing what the signals are telling us. This is SAVE. Still above the T line, but what is it telling us? Pretty much telling us there's lots of indecision up here. Stochastic's starting to get a little bit soggy. Yes, indecision, lots of tails to the upside. That's pretty much saying, oops, they're having a hard time moving up from here. Maybe it's time to move on to something where the probabilities are better. Now, this is going to be part of our kind of going into the emotional aspects of investing. And I am good at this because I'm probably one of the worst investors in the world with all the emotions built into all my trading decisions. But if I own this and I saw this going on, even knowing what the candlestick signals were telling me, I would have that emotional fear. Man, if I closed out the position and it took off without me, boy, would I look stupid. Because it didn't close below the T line, but I could see that it was getting a little bit iffy up here. Now I know, number one, if it's looking iffy, more than likely, with this being a high-risk trade or a higher risk trade, we're in the overbought area, starting to head down, showing lots of indecision. Worst case is close it out and go find something that looks more like this, with stochastics in the right place and coming up positive. That way, if it starts moving this way and the one that I got out of it starts moving this way, at least I can rationalize in my own head that I was buying this because the probabilities were much greater and my downside risk was much less. So anyways, this is where a lot of people, and I say a lot of people, I take it a lot of people have the same problems I do or did, is if I see something, I would hate to close it. What if it was still heading up and I left some on the table? Now at least I know high high risk, not in the right place, overbought, indecision. Let's put our money someplace else where the probabilities are in our favor. Okay, and what we also want to look at is if we see something where the probabilities can be seen, like on Rent-A-Center, pretty much telling us that belt hold wiped out a lot of selling. You can see there's a little bit of indecision in here, and then bam, that told you there was lots of sellers taken out of the way, moving up nicely. So what do we expect to see coming out of a situation like that? Well, we want to see bullish confirmation. We had GL or GHL. It was setting up, but not really telling us a whole lot. Even if we bought it here or bought it over here, this is telling us we should be a little bit concerned that the sellers aren't completely out of the way. It better open positive, and even if it does open positive and doesn't do very much, we should close it out because it's not doing what we would expect coming up out of that belt hold signal. Okay, so some that are looking good on the long side. Here's one that's got the cup and handle or the classic fry pan bottom J-hook pattern setting up. This is CRK. This one I wouldn't be afraid to be buying on positive trading tomorrow. And this one was pointed out. Notice how this scoop pattern started with the kicker signal, and now it's broken out. That's telling us there's a lot of strength in this one, that you could at least expect the 45-degree going into new, now that you're up in new territory. Whoops, what did I do here? VEEV, you can kind of see a double bottom setup here in our Morningstar signal. Another one that you could be buying. Let's be aware what happens at the 50. GL or GHL, well, your stochastics aren't in the overbought area. They're close, but they're still in the mid-range. So remember, this is what we're buying. We're not buying the stochastics. We've got a nice big belt hold. If it started showing strength, obviously the stochastics are going to come back up. But what do we expect coming after a belt hold? Strength. And if we don't see it, we want to move on to something else. That should be the rationale, that SAVE should also have some strength. But if this opened lower tomorrow, remember, if we're expecting strength in the airlines, as we can see in United, there's a different let's say, investor perception on this one. And it may be that they're already starting to take profits because it's had a strong price move. So remember, anything that we can sit here and analyze that is a logical analysis, everybody in the world out there has had that same opportunity to analyze. What we want to do is see what is the results of their analysis, not what is the result of our analysis. I can pretty much guarantee that through the years, I've probably analyzed things if I was not using anything else but just what I would consider common sense analysis, probably 95% of the time I'm wrong. And it's because we might be analyzing what is right there in front of us as obvious, whereas the smart money is already analyzed 3 steps ahead, which kind of leaves us in the dust. This one I like, NCI. There's that slow curve breakout. There's the J-hook pattern, telling us that pretty much the consolidation's over. Notice how it's supported on the 3T line. This one I wouldn't be afraid to be buying on positive trading tomorrow. INVA. There's the belt hold. How come I missed that? Oh, okay. There's the belt hold. That's what you want to see after a belt hold type signal. Don, that could be true. That's why we want to see how they open it tomorrow. If they start trading lower, probably they're in a profit-taking pullback at that point. But INVA, belt hold, gap up, exactly what we would anticipate. I would suspect they're coming up at least to the 50, but we know at least it's heading that. That's where it's heading. Allison, the smart money usually knows what's going on. I can pretty much guarantee you I never know what's going on. But I can analyze the charts to see what everybody else is analyzing, or what the smart money is analyzing. So that's exactly what we're looking at, is the graphics of what happens in human nature and where the smart money is starting to buy or sell. Salt, yes, that's a nice looking belt hold. So here's another one. I don't know what the volume was on this one today, but I would definitely be buying this one on positive trading, especially if it broke through this level, because that, notice where they opened it, right on the 200, wiped out a lot of sellers. You could get a little quick pop out of that one. 800,000 shares, all right, so that's decent for a $4 stock. OPHT, there's your reversal signal. Where's your logical target? Probably up to the 50, getting right here to the gap area, seeing what it does at that point. So what do we want to see tomorrow? We want to see bullish confirmation. What makes this a very simple entry? We buy on any strength, and we don't let it close back below the T-line. So what's our upside potential? Up about 10 points. What's our downside risk? Maybe 50 cents or so. Let's see. Forget what I just did. OPTH. And some of the bank stocks. Remember, this one was a big short a while back. Now we're starting to see the profit taking, or the buying starting to come back in. Here's another one that if it starts being bought above the T line, expect at least to come up here and test this level, which would be a good 15% away, and then possibly back up to the moving averages. ZY, whoops, let me flip down here. There's a few more bank stocks that are Banco of Brazil. Notice what it just did today. Did that little doji off the T-line gap up. That can still be bought. And BBD, kind of the same scenario. That one can be bought. ZY and E, there's that little morning star signal. And where did that occur? Right here, smack dab on the 50. Anything else? Yeah, we saw a lot of buying at the 50 just a couple weeks ago. So another one where you can start buying and just watch to see if they can break through that downtrending channel. Somebody scribbled on my pad with terrible handwriting. Schnitzer Steel, Morningstar signal right on the T line. That should give you the message immediately. They're not going to close it below the T line. How did this run get started? There's your little belt hold type signal. Zum, Morningstar signal. Morningstar signal. You got a flat trading and then a little Morningstar signal. Acts like a little mini scoop pattern. You want to buy this one on positive trading. That's usually the slingshot effect that occurs after a flat trading area. The Morningstar signal is kind of that alert. And this one is probably going to be seen on the recommended list tomorrow. Notice what they did on the scoop type pullback. Big tails to the downside, a hammer, a left-right combo, and now we're about ready to break out to the upside, probably another wave like this. But the fact that they couldn't knock it down below the 50 was a good indication that this is where the buyers are stepping in, and now look at the buying pattern, that scoop pattern. All right, so that's, there are some good long positions out there, but there's also some very good short positions. Now, as we looked at some earlier, this is what makes life very comfortable or simple. If you get a sell signal and a close below the T line, you stay short until you see a buy signal and a close back up above the T line. We recommended Acor today as a short. There's that big breakdown of the slow curve. Didn't trade off very much, but still would be apt to be shorting this one on any weakness. So what we're trying to identify is what's happening, and is the selling starting to pick up some steam to the downside. Ren was one that had been a very nice trade to the upside for a long time until we got to this little evening star signal and a close below the T line. Where do we think the price was going to go? Back here to the 50-day moving average. And we recommended light because of that slow curve, big long-legged doji. What's our simple rule? If they start selling it off after a doji, that's the direction they're going to take it. So now that they're starting to sell it off hard, there is the prospect of them moving it all the way down here to the 200-day moving average. So on a situation like this, knowing with a high degree of probability which way the price is likely to move, that makes buying puts or option strategies that much more viable, because at least we know we're heading in the direction, or should be heading in the direction, with a high degree of probability based upon what historically happens after a candlestick signal. That did not work, did it? ETLA, big breakdown. Another one that could be heading down strong. Anytime you see that hard selling, especially after coming out of a resistance area or a bearish pattern, that usually tells you exactly what's happened. This is YRCW transportation, doji, gap down. There's usually going to be more downside after that initial gap down. FGP, slow curve, breakdown. So we're right here just below the support level. Another one that has a strong possibility of having another strong downtrend on any weakness. And Bison will probably be seen on the short list tomorrow. Another slow curve, doji sandwich. where's our next likely target? They could take this all the way down to the 200-day moving average. GPRO, this one I was using more as an illustration that if you get up here and you do the blue ice failure, where's your next target? Down here to the 200. So that was fairly easy, that if you sorted it in here somewhere on the bearish kicker, at least we knew where our logical target was going to be. And Weibo, another big dumpling top, slow curve, doji sandwich. Where's our next likely target? It could be all the way down in this area. So let's see, do I have a star next to that? That becomes a very excellent option trade because you've got targets down here, the 200, got a couple little gaps right in here. So a 10-point move. Is there a definition for a long-legged doji? Yep. It's a long-legged doji. And if a doji represents indecision, a long-legged doji means more indecision. And all it is just where you've had a big, excessive price move during the day. So here's HZNP. Where did it fail? Right here at the 50. Well, how did it fail? With a doji. Then a bearish confirmation below the T-line. Then it didn't hold up the 200, and it didn't hold this level. That makes for another strong possibility to the downside. Rare, same scenario. Failed right at the 50. Couldn't hold this level. Bearish doji sandwich. Wave 1, wave 3 may be in progress. And a couple more, then we'll take questions. Oh, so here's one. Well, this is why the graphics, the candlesticks, make it much easier. Notice heading down, heading down, heading down, and then a big gap down. And what do we always look for to tell us there's a possible reversal? Where do most people sell? They panic sell at the bottom. As soon as we saw it gap down here and started seeing it trade positive, if you've just picked up another 25% off of that trade, stochastics in the oversold area, that's where you want to start taking your profits. Yes. So there's nothing magical on our on these charts. The Japanese rise traders just kind of illustrated better for us that most people panic sell at the bottom and they buy exuberantly at the top. Which, when I read that in way back in my early days, back in I think the late 80s, I just thought to myself, that is the most common sense of all investing. That's what human nature is. They're panic selling at the bottom and they're buying exuberantly at the top, and that's me. So if I could just change that 180 degrees, so it means if I have to change that, I need to start watching to see what's happening in the overbought conditions and what's happening in the oversold conditions. And that's where, again, do I hit every trade correctly? Definitely not, but I hit the majority of the trades correctly. And occasionally, you get a big price move that makes all the little indecisive trades kind of disappear. Oops, that was that one. All right, so if you want to try to set up where the best possible entry strategies are, or the best low-risk strategies, if you look at something like Scotty, big bearish engulfing signal, closed right on the 50. Stochastics are heading down, hit the top of a trend channel, kind of sitting here at the bottom of a trend channel. See if I can do this with any great degree of elegance. Close. That. Whoops, this is not working well. This is working real great. Anyways, so we closed right on the 50. If it opens weaker tomorrow, you can be shorting it because it would be confirming your bearish engulfing left-right combo, telling you the 50 is not acting as support. Your stochastics are heading down. There's a good possibility they could bring it all the way back down to test your lows. And I think that same scenario was G-Pro. Yeah, if it broke the 50, which would also, I'm sorry, the 200, which is also breaching this level, you might have a wave 1, wave 3 in action. Okay, I was wondering if there's a mathematical definition. Like, no. RAM, there's really no math to any of this except the number 2, which is usually that the signals are hammers, inverted hammers, shooting stars, all have tails that are 2 times greater than the body, or a piercing signal closes more than one halfway up the other candle, or the dark cloud more than halfway down. So anyways, right now there are still some good looking charts. Even though this market is trading like this, it gets a little bit discouraging, but if you dig a little bit deeper, you're going to find that there are high probability trade setups, and that as long as you stay with things that we know work reasonably well, not reasonably well, with a high degree of probability, and even if you're in a soggy market, at least you got the prospects of things moving in the direction you expect them to. And if they don't with any great velocity, at least you're still a little bit profitable even when the market's dead. So with that, is there any general questions on candlesticks that I can answer? I know you're all sitting there munching on Reese peanut butter cups. Okay, if not, Jim, go ahead and do the double line. And in 4.2 seconds, do another double line. SEMP. You can see the gap down. You can see it breaching all the support levels. I would stay short until you see a buy signal. Waste management. Stay long. That's a good looking chart. Not going to be a very exciting one, but it will be a good one. So you might have a good, smaller, good option trade. I would suspect here's your first target, and there's your second target. So should be heading in the right direction. Axel, that one you can buy. That's a good looking chart also. You can see what's happened. You had this trend channel, but when they came back, they stopped halfway down the trend channel where it had acted as resistance before. Now it looks like they're trying to take it back up. That was a good looking chart. USG, I would stay short, yes. So here's an example of where they took it up on Friday after this big bearish engulfing signal. You can see you're in pretty much of a downtrend. And today when they brought it back up again, they failed at the the 200/T line, you stay short until you see a confirmed buy signal. Somewhat along the same lines, and I forget which one it is. I don't know how I can forget symbols so quickly. Blue, stay short. Ever since you're bearish, no, it's not quite a bearish Harami. I would stay short until you see a buy signal. ACAD. There's your Morningstar signal. If you were short, this would have been a good day to start covering your short position. If you're looking to go long, it still needs to get back up above the T line, but it's at least basing in here. And OHRP. You shouldn't be in it. You shouldn't be in it until they can close this back up above the T line. And Disney, if you were in it, you should have been back out of it today with a closing back below 50/T line, because what it's telling you is this downtrending channel is still in progress. Plus, Disney doesn't have a whole lot of price movement to it to produce good profits. Liberty Trust, you can get ready to buy this one. You can see that you're in a sideways range, which would probably more show that there's no real selling, and I would imagine it's got to be paying some sort of dividend. So it's definitely more of a dividend play than a price move at this point. United Dominion, you can get ready to buy it if they can get it up through the 50, but again, you won't have a very big price percentage move on this one. RP, that's got a nice little J-hook pattern setting up. If you're long, you stay long. They can never close it below the T line, and you get ready to buy this on strength from here. And PCG, this one you can get ready to buy also. Obviously, you need to see it come up and test this level and breach it, but I would be buying this one as long as it stays above the 50 right now. Let's see, how do you trade this if you took profits towards the top today because it was far from the T line? Oh boy. More than likely it's going to hover here for a couple of days, but at this point I put a buy stop above today's high. If it comes up through there, something's happening where they're taking it up in spite of where the T line is right now. But you definitely do have that slow curve breakout. Now remember, just because something's starting to move away from the T line, now you start to look at what the pattern is telling you, whether it's a strong pattern, because usually a strong pattern might move away from the T line for the next 2-3 days. So don't let the T line be a deterrent or hold you back. Still use the signals to tell you whether there's any selling coming in. Apple still relatively lethargic. I would anticipate they're coming down to this level, which kind of equates to the 50-day moving average. So right now I wouldn't be long or short Apple. Goog, I wouldn't be long or short this one. If I was going to short it, it would be below the 50. And if it broke there, then you have the prospect of coming back down toward the 200-day moving average. Amazon is tough to trade right now. You look at a chart like this, and you say, oh, I don't know what it's doing. Don't trade it. Go on to something else. CC, I missed CC way over here. CC did a bearish engulfing signal. So if you didn't stop out right here because you were in the overbought area, it has to open positive and trade positive to stay in it. If it opens lower, another one I would suspect they're going to do some profit taking back to the 200-day moving average. Charles Schwab, you can see you're in a wedge, which means you don't want to be trading this right now because it's not going to do anything. So you just watch to see what happens if it comes out through the top of the wedge or down through the bottom of the wedge. But right now I wouldn't be in it because it's not going to go anywhere until they break out. In GameStop, all you can do is stay short. Ever since your kicker signal, you had a bearish J-hook pattern, another little bearish J-hook pattern. You just stay short. CETX. Nice slow curve. You stay long on this one. That's a good looking chart. We've actually kind of broken this downtrend with a bullish doji sandwich. Just stay long. Good chart. Let's see. LGIH. Morningstar signal right on the 200. If you were short, this is why you kind of want to anticipate what your pattern or what your signals can be. You're in the oversold area. You have a doji right smack dab on the 200. If you were short, where would you set your stop? Right here, the high. If they have enough strength to come in this direction above the high of the doji, you want to close it out and take your profits. Now, to buy it, you don't buy it until it comes back up through the T line. Hazar, same scenario. If you're short and you're doing a little hammer type signal, if it opened positive tomorrow, I'd probably cover the short position because what's that telling us? The 200 is acting as support. I wouldn't buy this one until it got up above the T line. Land's End, nothing. I wouldn't be long or short this one. It's just not going anywhere, and even if it does, the percentage of returns don't look all that enthusiastic. Bank of New York looks like with the dojis and the bearish trading, if it opened weaker tomorrow, I'd close it out with the anticipation that I can always look at it again if it hits the T line and bounces off of there. But right now, showing weakness, probably some profit taking, stepping in. KRE, regional banks, very slow uptrend, and that's kind of the qualifier there, very slow uptrend. You were munching ice cream, man. Nugget or JNUG, another one you can get ready to buy if it opens positive tomorrow. Just watch to see what it does if they bring it up to the 200. INTX, big breakout today. That one you look at because that's what usually happens is if something's been trading flat, in this case for 1, 2, 3 months, and then breaks out, that usually tells you something's happening. I don't know whether they announced earnings or whatever, but now there's a new dynamic in that stock. And Brocade had a big, huge move today. I don't know what to tell you there. There's probably going to be some profit taking. I'd say it's a big, huge move. About a 20% move. As you can see, though, overall, it really hasn't had these things get all over the place. Hasn't really had a big dynamic move other than sideways over the last 12 months. Whoops. MBRX. Oh, I've got to make this bigger. Nothing. Probably wouldn't be long or short this right now. Not until you see a confirmed buy signal. and UV XY. If you're long, you stay long. Obviously, you watch to see what it does here at the 50. Halo, stay short. So you see a buy signal. You're in the oversold area, so a safe place to put a buy stop is right here at today's open. If they come up through there tomorrow, that's kind of giving you a good indication that's where they're starting to buy. Wynn Resorts, probably wouldn't be long or short here. There's nothing there to get excited about on this one. Gerard, that's the one thing that I've discovered through the years is I have no idea what the market's going to do. I just let the market tell me what the market is doing. Right now, obviously, the market's moving sideways. But we do know we have the kind of a wedge formation. And probably takes us right out here to about November 8th to tell us what to do. Right now, I doubt if anybody knows what they want to do until they see what the results of this election is going to be. Time Warner, you can stay long. I guess they're still trying to get clarification on the buyout. Is that from AT&T? AG, nothing yet. You do have the little Morningstar type signal. You can be buying this one on positive trading. Aftermarket higher, a little on Apple News to possibly bidding on this as well. All right. Okay. SRCE. SRCL. That one you still can be buying on positive trading tomorrow. Halo Win. Halo Win. Why the difference between the green and red colors, Milan? That's the whole point of candlestick analysis. Let me get to a different chart. That's where you want, this is the whole point of candlestick analysis. A red candle is where they open it here and close it here. A green candle is where they open it here and close it here. So you get a much more information in your charts based upon where it opens and closes. Look at Tesla the other day. Tesla opened up here and closed here. It was up for the day, but we could see with a candlestick chart, that was not a strong signal. That was telling you get ready to start selling this because the sellers had stepped in. So that's where you want, that's the bread and butter. That's what the training that we were supposed to have this past weekend because Penn Power had to do some stuff around here. We're going to do that on December 3rd and 4th. So if you haven't taken the basic 2-day training, it's well worth your while to sit for 12 hours, 14 hours, two solid days to get all the information that you can build into candlestick analysis. TMH, that did gap up today. That one, you look for a 45 degree to come off of here. Dust. If it opens lower tomorrow, that means gold is picking up steam. you can be shorting it. And Nugget, the opposite. If gold picks up steam, you can be buying Nugget tomorrow. So an at the money or out of the money put spread, as it will likely fill that gap. It could. I mean, that's where your likely target, but we don't know whether it might take 10 days to get there or 2 days. So I still wouldn't, still don't have a whole lot that you can sink your teeth into on the Nugget chart. An AMGN stays short. Again, anytime you see that big gap down, usually means there's going to be more follow through. That means there was something that changed investor sentiment dramatically. No, I usually use the 3T line to stay in. Because if I can see that the 3T line is acting as support, then I know that trend is strong until they close it below the 3T line. That means more than likely that's where they're profit taking back to the T line. NVIDIA, we told the options room, we closed out the options the other day just because it had gotten to the top of the channel, stochastics in the overbought area, and it looks like it wasn't breaking through. But we hold on to the stock because the stock is still in an uptrend, not closing below the T line. CXW, nothing wild just yet. We're still in this downtrending channel. I'd probably be more apt to buy it if it could get up through the 50-day moving average. But nothing here that would get me real enthused just yet because there's nothing showing any dramatic buying yet. Momo broke down today. Another one closed back below the T line, which meant you should have closed it out. At this point, I wouldn't be long or short. I'd be more apt to go short if it came down through the 50. Okay, INTX got a takeover bid. All right. Thank you. Darker and lighter color. Yeah, the red is where it opens here and closes here. The green is where it opens here and closes above where it opens. Ah, nah, okay. I was thinking Halo. Not, all right, Halloween. Lots of shorted stock on Tesla. Yeah, but you can see where it failed right at the 200. You can see where you are now, back into this trend channel. So, and you close below the T line after that big bearish belt hold. That gives the prospect of, if it breaks this level down here, that you can be going short. Okay, so even though the markets are relatively flat, there still are some very good charts out there. You're probably going to see, if the gold moves up tomorrow, you're going to probably see a buy on ABX. CATM, nice little scoop J hook with big tails to the downside. Another nice looking one is NCI. If it opens positive, you're in wave 3 of a J hook. And then Weibo, slow rollover. That could be a good 10, 20% move to the downside, getting to this level and or this level. Okay, go watch your favorite Dracula movie. I think Sandy recorded Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein, so I'll be looking at that with great interest tonight. All right, everybody, have a good evening. We'll see you bright and early in the morning.